Story 1. Do not fall in love with potential. Fall in love with reality. You cannot fix or save someone who does not want to change. Story 2. Being a mechanic, I discovered that I am one of those people who should not do what you love as a profession. 6 years as a diesel technician did nothing but kill my love of old cars as well as my enjoyment of working on them. Now, I do not even change the oil in my vehicles. It absolutely obliterated my longest-held passion. Story 3, here is my honest answer. I am a 53-year-old male and I have chased money. I wish I had chased happiness more. I am not saying I am unhappy, but I missed out on a lot of my kids' activities. Do not take time for granted. Enjoy your family and friends. Story 4. Save your money in compounding interest starting at 1 year old. I could have retired with my birthday money alone by now, probably. Story 5. Delusion, procrastination, people-pleasing, fear of losing, fear of rejection, self-doubt, and many more. Love yourself. Stop looking for other people's opinions. Nobody cares about you. They only care about their own interests. Story 6. Redirect part of your income into tax-deferred accounts such as Roth Individual Retirement Account and 401k. If possible, invest the rest in a taxable brokerage account with a diversified portfolio of solid companies. Set up automatic contributions from each paycheck. It is fine to start with smaller amounts and increase them as you receive raises. You will be glad you started as early as possible. Story 7. Avoid drinking alcohol. I have been sober for 6 years, and I can look back on all that time. I know what I missed out on because of my drinking, and I regret it. Story 8. Locking myself out and abstaining for a certain number of days from contacting specific people until I become picture perfect. Story 9. How far back can I go? If I could go back to the year I started talking, I would tell myself to invest and tell my parents to invest. We were decent upper middle class growing up, but ended up having our childhood home foreclosed on, and my parents divorced. I would tell myself and my parents to invest in Bitcoin and advise myself not to spend the Bitcoin I did accumulate. Story 10. You cannot fix people. Do not enter relationships to fix them. Some people only want chaos and dysfunction. Story 11. Forcing a relationship with your toxic family is not healthy. It is okay to prioritize your mental health and distance yourself from them. Story 12. Do not use so many drugs. Ecstasy, nitrous oxide, and psilocybin mushrooms have a really negative long-term effect. Work on your mental health. You are capable of incredible things and will be loved. Story 13. I'm guessing a lot of people are thinking about bad relationships. As horrible as they were, I am glad because they gave me the gift to recognize a poisonous personality and to stay away. Story 14. The man at the mall with the neck tattoo. I was very young and foolish, and now as a fully grown adult, I see all the warning signs that I was blind to back then. Story 15. Accruing a lifetime of debt to attend college for jobs that will be given to Indian workers who will work just to be allowed into the country. Story 16. Biological mother. I understood we were enmeshed. Not a single person who expressed concern ever told me she had both Munchausen syndrome and Munchausen by proxy. Story 17. Avoid most common advice about being nice and not caring about being cool. You are unique, and you need to focus more on things like dressing well, standing up for yourself, and learning how to break rules. Story 18. Gaining weight to avoid a severe lack of confidence, prevent eating disorders and mental health issues that are currently affecting me, and to have a boyfriend. Story 19. Wax pens are poisonous. I would know. I am happy my lung surgery went well, and I made a full recovery with no long-term complications. However, what if something pops up down the road? I knew to stay away from vaporizers and cigarettes. I low-key live my life worried about whether I will get another health complication now. It does not impede my daily life at all, but you never know. Story 20. Please do not stop working for 3 years because you are depressed. You will have a hard time finding a job again due to the gap in your resume. Story 21. Do not attend an extremely expensive college for a degree you will never use. There are well-paying jobs available that do not require a college degree. Story 22. Siren-type women or men. The siren calls you to the rocks and ruins your whole life. I fell victim twice. I wish I could do it over. Yes, I was weak and unwise, and it cost me fortunes both monetary and emotional. Story 23. Stand up for yourself. Do not be afraid to make people upset when you are setting boundaries with them. If they get upset with you, it shows they do not respect your boundaries. You deserve to live your life how you want, regardless of what people think of you. Story 24. 15 years at a job that does not care and will treat you poorly, taking everything from you and leaving you with nothing. Skip that step and go straight to the next opportunity. Story 25. Do not delude yourself into thinking you will go to college on an athletic scholarship. Pay attention in school. Story 26. My mother is complete chaos and drags anyone she can down with her consistently. In her defense, she has schizophrenia, so she cannot help it. However, I do not have to wallow in it with her, and I learned this too late in life. Story 27. I would tell him to read his Bible and keep his faith. My biggest mistake in life was allowing my faith to wander away. Now it is back, and I am the happiest I have ever been. Jesus was the answer for me, and I am so glad I found that answer. Story 28. Avoid time off from school and go now. Learn a skill while you are young and finish something. Avoid spending your money recklessly. Start investing now and buy real estate. Avoid pursuing relationships until you have made yourself valuable and do not settle. Avoid partying and people who will hold you back from achieving success in life. Story 29. Do not care too much about what others think, and do not compare yourself to others, as everyone lives life differently. Story 30. Drugs in general, especially cocaine, prevent you from being your best self. They are hard to quit, and personally, I do not like myself when I am high. Can also be very lonely and isolating. Story 31. I would not tell my younger self because she had no choice. However, I would go back and tell my parents not to put me in the school they chose. Most likely, I would not have post-traumatic stress disorder if they had put me in a different school. Story 32. Settling people, relationships, friendships, jobs, your education, and working hard to achieve your goals allows you to reap the rewards of the life you envision and create. Nothing is unattainable. Story 33. That woman. But of course, my younger self would say, "Don't tell me what to do, asshole." Like I told everyone who tried to warn me. Story 34. I would probably tell my younger self to stop drinking, although I am not going to take advice from an alcoholic. Story 35. Avoid avoiding things in life. It is more important to get out and be hurt than to remain unhappy. Story 36. Avoid being afraid. There was a girl I met online, and we eventually became really good friends to the point where we talked on the phone until one of us fell asleep. One night, she wanted to do an anonymous message on a website, and she confessed that she was glad I actually listened to her and wished I was her boyfriend. Unfortunately, I accidentally friend-zoned her. I beat myself up about it occasionally, but when I realized what she meant and tried to ask her out, she rejected me. I basically had a bit of a breakdown after that day and decided never again. Story 37. Alcohol. I have been sober since last October. Feels amazing. Financial savings are incredible. I have gone down from 203 to 185 pounds since January. The benefits are unbelievable. Weight loss also comes from going to the gym, but the consistency I have maintained since January is remarkable. Story 38. 2 girls, 1 cup video. Everything else was a good life lesson that did not prevent me from living my life. I am sure my family would appreciate that I have never shown them that video. Story 39. Make sure you do everything in your own power to be self-sufficient. Do not get distracted. Get the help you need. Love yourself first before trying to love another person. Story 40. Ex-wife. Avoid that person at all costs. They will leave you as soon as they obtain permanent residency along with half your assets. Story 41. Leave when he doesn't treat you well. He won't change. It will only escalate. Save yourself some pain. When he says he liked to make his exes cry to comfort them, run. Story 42. Credit cards. I lack discipline when it comes to buying items. I have been stuck in a loop of maxing out my cards, paying them off, and then maxing them out again. I should shred them honestly, but it is such a difficult thing to force myself to do. Story 43. Mine is a bit of a double-edged sword. I have $30,000 in student loans for a mostly useless degree, but without it, I would not have met my wife. I would advise not to use credit cards until much later in life when you understand them better. I was not as bad off as some others, but I had $6,000 in credit card debt at one point and did not get out of it until I was 24 or 25. Story 44. Alcohol. I never considered myself an alcoholic, but I stopped drinking in 2014, and I wish I could turn back time to the year 2000. Story 45. Applying for that direct support professional job. You are applying for a very stressful job that may cause significant weight gain within a year due to stress, especially when the pandemic occurs. You may experience emotional challenges that therapy may not be advanced enough to resolve. Story 46. Do not play with fire. I burned a train bridge at 16. It was an accident but threw my whole life off track. Story 47. To listen to other people. Do whatever you think is right. Life shows you if you are on the right track. Story 48. Nicotine, specifically vaping for me, but I also tried cigarettes for a bit in a misguided attempt at quitting vaping once. I did successfully quit for about a year until I took a vacation to visit a friend who vaped. On my way into town, I bought a few disposable vape devices as vacation treats, without consulting friends or loved ones because I knew they would advise against it. That was in December of 2024, and I am still vaping. While I think cigarettes are much worse for you and harder on your body, vaping is more insidious because you can do it almost anywhere at any time. There are basically no restrictions at home, and you do not have to go outside when it is below freezing or raining like with cigarettes. None of my friends have issues with me vaping next to them, nor do coworkers care or even notice if you smell like green apple or coffee. Alone in the bathroom at work is a perfect time for a few hits. Or better yet, find a stairwell, walk-in cooler, or hallway with no cameras. It is one of the first things I pick up in the morning and the last I put down when I go to bed. I started when I was 18, and the first time I quit was at 26. There is so much muscle memory and neural pathways built around vaping while gaming, working, cleaning, driving, walking, eating, and conversing over those 8 years, and I wish I could take every puff back. Story 49. Do not look at her legs. You were so close to joining the Peace Corps with dental records completed, preparing to go to Tonga for aquaculture. Her legs talked you out of it in South Carolina one night. Story 50. I want to say cigarettes. I want to say gambling. But I am forced to say, avoid anyone who tells you how to spell their name when you are introduced. Story 51. Trust your instincts. Don't settle for anything less, and please don't invest in someone who will bring you down. They will use you and leave when you are no longer of use to them. Story 52. How many people are going to respond? Reddit? No shade, moderators. Do not hate me. I said other people may say that, not me. Story 53. Don't get married to spouse number 1. That is settling. But I wouldn't have my 2 beautiful grown children. So actually, I think I would tell myself to finish the whole advice sentence I used to tell my daughter, which is, whatever you choose, remember I will always love you and be here for you. I neglected to say this part, and we do not have a relationship right now. Update to correct a typo. Story 54. Honestly, I'm very comfortable and pretty happy with how my life has turned out. I would be afraid that telling myself anything would change the outcome. Don't get me wrong, everything isn't perfect, but I married an incredible woman. I have a fulfilling job. We own our own home. Things have gone wrong for me multiple times in the past, and at the time it definitely seemed like everything was going wrong. But without those issues, I wouldn't have gotten where I am today. I do think I would have told myself to take as many subsidized undergraduate loans as possible during college to try and pay for graduate school, but I'll take some debt for how things worked out in the end. Story 55. Save your information to your cryptocurrency wallet. You might end up with a 15-year-old wallet worth $66 million that you cannot access anymore. Story 56. Credit cards. The first card led to the second, then the third, and so on. I accidentally discovered that if I made several small charges on them and paid them off, I could get another one. Fast forward a year, and I had maxed out 6 credit cards and was $80,000 in debt between the credit cards and getting caught up in a scam at a technical school. It took me 15 years to pay it off, just in time to go back to a real school and accumulate another $60,000 in student loans. As a result, life didn't really start for me until my late 30s. Story 57. To avoid studying what I am doing now and instead study tourism, I was told not to study it because it is a fake career with no future. However, life is short. Do what you want and what you love. The big mistake is thinking that regret will last only a few weeks. It has been 10 years, and I still think I should have studied that. My life would be very different now. Story 58. Do not get married. Have a bunch of children by yourself once you get your excellent work-from-home job. Just love and enjoy those children. Take them everywhere without a man in the way. Story 59. Energy drinks. I was addicted to them for a while. Because of this, and also due to a disrupted routine, it affected my health. I have epilepsy, so this only made things worse. Now I do not drink energy drinks anymore. I can only drink coffee sometimes, but I avoid energy drinks completely. Overall, I would prefer never to try them again. Story 60. There was another discussion about being able to tell your 10-year-old self something. The same advice applies here. Avoid the redhead. You will know her when you see her. Story 61. Do not start drinking. Do not get married too young. If it is meant to be, wait a few years. If you want to get an advanced degree, do it as soon as possible because in 5, 10, or 15 years you will be too busy. Travel as often as you can. Check in on your friends and family. Take the job you are interested in, even if it is not the highest paying, and make a career out of it. Watch your income soar. Story 62. Summer camp as a 7-year-old was one of maybe 3 things I begged my parents for relentlessly. I am allergic to basically the outside. My allergies manifest as asthma attacks. The lady in charge of my cabin talked to my mom before she left and knew I needed access to my inhaler at all times. But on day 2, she was pulled away from camp because her fiancé was in a serious car accident, and some teenager took over my cabin. One of the first things she did was take away my emergency inhaler and tell me I could only access it in the nurse's office in the morning. That is not how emergency inhalers work. I spent several days after that struggling with potentially deadly asthma attacks and eventually managed to convince the nurse to let me call my mom. After that, I lost a lot of faith in people, became very particular about my inhaler, and stopped wanting to be outside. So if you were Counselor Broccoli at Camp Tomahawk 31 years ago, forget you. Story 63. There is no need to rush into something you think will cure all your innermost problems. Abandonment issues are difficult, but trust me, for some miraculous reason, your mother does return and has never given up on you or your brother or sister. Rejection also hurts, and you want to be as original as possible, uniquely one of a kind who stands out from the crowd, and you are. I would advise avoiding toxic situations, especially if you take the time to observe that not everything is as perfect as it seems. Do not hold on to anger forever, but you are allowed to be upset because it is your life and your truth. If someone bullies you or uses you, as you may have learned at a young age, do not let them into your life because they do not have your best interests at heart. Honestly, you are going to do just fine. Love yourself and your life. Story 64. It depends on how old this younger self is. If he is below 16, it would be to not join that role-playing community. If he is older than that and it is still early on, I would tell him to get out. Beyond that, I would kill him in cold blood. Story 65. I would have told myself to avoid classic cars that do not work. Instead, save money and buy one that is working. Now, I have a stable of 4 non-running cars and no money. Story 66. Enjoy your youth. It really is fleeting. Do not postpone things you want to do today until tomorrow, regardless of how much time people around you may say you have. Story 67. Do not listen to the people telling you not to invest in individual stocks due to the risk. Buy stocks, but spread the risk by buying multiple companies. Owning stocks, whether value stocks, dividend stocks, or funds, is a lot of fun. I wish I had stopped listening to the naysayers much sooner. Story 68. A hanger outside sticking out from a wall that a dry cleaner used to hold their door open during the day before Easter. Story 69. Do not talk to the girl in the black dress who will break your heart 2 years later. Now, more than 30 years later, I am still not over it. Story 70. I would tell him to avoid people who have already shown their true selves. No, this time will not be different. Keep looking forward. Story 71. Even though you enjoy the scent at gas pumps, do not inhale directly from an exhaust. I did this when I was younger and I believe it harmed me. I developed multiple sclerosis. Story 72. Enlisting in the army after high school. Just do not do it, man. You have the grades and money to go to college. Do that, and when you finish, if you still want to join the armed forces, become an officer. Story 73. While smoking, I was damaging my lungs and sinuses. After I quit smoking, the intense cravings occurred, along with weight gain and diabetes. Everything worsened after I quit. Cigarettes, not even one. Story 74. Nothing matters as much as you think it does right now. Most mistakes you can recover from and might learn something. If you feel embarrassed, just remember everyone is insecure and most will forget what you did. Story 75. Do not bother reconnecting with your college crush. She will be your girlfriend for about 6 weeks. It will feel like it was all meant to be, and then she will leave you feeling more alone than ever before. It is not worth it. Story 76. My ex from the mid-2000s also reminded me to pick up my puppy from Petland on a specific date in 2008 because he was my first real love. His biggest impact was convincing me to get that puppy, and in a way, he saved me. Story 77. Being loved and wanted is very different from being needed and wanted, but they can appear the same. Do not give up your own world to make someone else's dreams come true. Story 78. Do not get infatuated with your first jobs or their potential. Assisting many managers at a fast food restaurant or a record store is not a healthy life goal. Many places pay that kind of money. Story 79. Your grandfather's advice is not going to work for your time period. You need to learn how to invest and save for retirement, as well as manage your attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and complete your 4-year degree while things are affordable. A high school diploma will not mean much in the future. Story 80. Do not care what other people think. If you want purple hair, dye it. If you want to dance alone at the club, dance. If you want a career in music, sing. Story 81. Probably women. I have never had a successful or worthwhile relationship, so it would be better to focus on improving myself and concentrate more on my career in video games. Story 82. This is one thing I would probably listen to, and it would be instrumental in shifting the direction of my entire life. Do not let anyone live with you in your first apartment. I was a sober, literal Boy Scout for 10 years, completely against drugs and alcohol, and passionate about finishing high school and getting into college. I was deeply considering working in a hospital as a mental health technician or a nurse of some kind. I could have easily maintained that course if I had just accepted living alone in that one-bedroom apartment. Instead, I let 3 high school dropouts in and they started begging me to smoke, letting them smoke or party in my place, coercing me in one way or another, teasing me for sounding like a Boy Scout and generally acting like groupthink bullies. I ended up checking myself into a psychiatric facility as my attendance was falling. While I maintained about a 3.0 GPA from completed assignments for the longest time, I could not handle these guys anymore. I thought I would finish high school with assignments sent into the hospital, but things did not go as planned. They never went away, clinging like dingleberries and even coming up with false reasons why I was below them and they were my only potential friends. Finally, I said enough. I have been cutting ties, claimed straight edge again, and connected with grade school friends and Boy Scout friends to hopefully fix my life. Now I need family support more than ever. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.